welcome to my world. I'm of course Fredcast, and as you know, 7 nights a week I stream live over on Twitch, playing a variety of video games, and the link to my Twitch channel, of course, can be found in the description below. Last week, after the Twitch Sing stream, we officially passed 1,000 followers. I waited a couple of days before mentioning it anywhere because I am fully damn aware of people's tendency to follow and unfollow and so forth, or uh, they just want to get the notification and the shout out say, hey, we followed you and blah blah blah. So yeah, so I'm fully aware of how that works. So I wanted to wait a few days for that, and in addition, I wanted to go through and do something I said I would do if I hit such a milestone, and which was to expand the operations a bit and what I do on stream to not only be able to do PC games, but not only able to do Xbox One games, but obviously also, so in case you can't tell by the fact that's a bunch of Pokemon things happening over right over there. Well, yeah, we added a Nintendo Switch back at the end of February. The things running through my head was to expand to including console gaming. Sony basically pissed me right the hell off several years, about 6 years ago, with the PlayStation 4 not having any backwards capabilities at all, when compared to the fact that the PS2 was able to be backwards compatible with the PS1. The PS3 limited backwards capability. It would work with PS1 games, and it depended on which model you got for for it to be able to play PS2 games, and the PS4 nada. As a matter of fact, Sony basically wants you to purchase your entire game library again, which was for me just a straight up fucking no go. As a little text notification comes in there, but we'll leave that in. Fuck it. So, Xbox One out because I knew people who had an Xbox One. I know more people who have an Xbox One than I knew who had a Nintendo Switch. So basically, what the Xbox One won out, and the Nintendo Switch basically became the milestone goal. If I hit 1,000 followers, I basically had a Switch on bundle on standby. I've been kept a few, particularly with all the coronavirus and stuff that ended up going down. Basically, I had a few things on standby. I knew where to look and trusted sellers over on eBay to see who will present the best deal, if there will be a bundle, things of that nature, and that's basically how I was able to get one, because I basically had this planned out in advance. I had this fully realized in advance, because I knew at some point this year I was going to hit 1,000 followers after we got the Xbox One. So we got the Switch, and needless to say, it presents its own unique challenges when compared to the Xbox One in terms of streaming. For whatever reason, the Switch doesn't like being routed through the Elgato to the monitor to have the HDMI dedicated display. But as I discovered tonight or last night at the time of this recording, basically the 19th, yesterday, during that stream, if I just use OBS to basically bring up a display of whatever it is the Elgato is capturing from the Switch, it works fine. And since all audio is being routed through the Elgato to OBS anyway, for me to hear for audio monitoring to make sure that certain things are worked out nicely. The Switch in and of itself is also presenting a challenge in regards to, and I'm going to use in regards to the controllers. And yes, we got a wire controller because the Joy-Cons are a little bit too small for my fat fingers. But the Nintendo I'm told the reason with the button layout on a Switch controller and the Joy-Cons are to be reminiscent of, or basically apparently the natural evolution from the Super Nintendo from the late 90s. Now keep in mind, I've never played a Super Nintendo. I've dabbled a little bit with an N64 at a buddy's house in high school. Never played a GameCube. Didn't touch the Wii or the Wii U or anything like that. I've had a couple of Game Boys. I had a Game Boy Color and a Game Boy Advance, but that was like 20 years ago. So, but in terms of using controllers, the whole experience that I have is using up PlayStation controllers, which basically are the same, have the same button layout and mapping as an Xbox controller. So when I so being in console gaming from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 3 era, then transitioning into PC, I got a Logitech controller. I think it was an F310. I think that was the model, and that basically was formatted like a PlayStation controller. I still have it somewhere. So there was that, and then I gradually transitioned to an actual Xbox controller because Steam doesn't like Logitech for whatever reason in terms of button mapping. So it's transitioned to an Xbox controller. But still, all those controllers basically the button layout's the same. The Switch, on the other hand, Nintendo, the buttons are basically backwards. The face buttons, A and B, X and Y, are all in the wrong places. Matter of fact, I will bring this one here. Okay, A button, B button, X button, Y button on an Xbox controller. A button, B button, X button, Y button. The buttons are basically swapped and reversed. So one thing I'm running into and that I'm experiencing, particularly as I was, the first Switch stream was Pokemon Shield, is that I am having to basically think backwards with this for cocked up controller. It is when you basically have like 20 years of the bottom button of the triangle of the diamond on the right hand side of a PlayStation controller, Logitech controllers, Xbox controllers. The bottom button of that diamond is always your select and advance, your jump button, and so forth. Not so much with the Nintendo. The right hand button is typically your back button, cancel button, and everything like that. Not with Nintendo, it's reverse. So I find myself backing out of menus more often than not because of how how my mind's been basically programmed. You got the habit of thinking one way with one set of controllers for so long, but Nintendo does its own thing. Nintendo has always done its own thing, and that's why they are very, very successful. I'm not begrudging them. I do kind of wish there is a way to remap the controls somehow in the Switch. I gotta really dig into it to try and make those face buttons a little bit more reasonable for an old person like me. Yes, I'm old. I'm a few years away from 40, so there you go. So that aside, the switching and stuff is great. Um, Taking it off the dock and played with it, I've experimented with that with a little bit. It makes for a nice, different experience there. The little cartridges are makes me a little bit concerned because okay, you see these cartridges, they are this big, right? So I'm thinking, okay, these things are going to be, fairly sizable. They are going to slide into this thing. How? But no, they are. Oh, again, they are. Well, what? The cartridges are this big, so kind of. So it's like Nintendo spending quite a lot on the plastic at the very least. There, I guess in their greatest hits editions are going to be cases half that size. No manuals either, which kind of made certain things a little bit difficult to get used to. but thankfully the tutorial screen is decent, at least in the 2 Switch games that I've played thus far. Pokemon Shield, I've definitely a fun game, and it is so real clear of how far out of the loop I am with Pokemon. It's not even funny. As last time I played a Pokemon game, I think was Pokemon Crystal from the Game Boy Color, and I was playing that on the Game Boy Advance. I think it was Crystal. It's because it was a Game Boy Color game that I was playing on a Game Boy Advance. That's what it says, like 20, little less than 20 years ago. So that's the last time I played a Pokemon game. I played Blue, I played Yellow, and Crystal. So a lot of these mechanics and types and things that nature in terms of, oh, there's dark Pokemon, there is steel Pokemon, there is, it's wrapping my head and trying to remember a lot of that. It certainly leaves, it's certainly mind breaking. But big shout out to Kalinal, who also who's really knowledgeable into the Pokemon franchise in terms of knowing what types to use and be able to really strategize. Matter of fact, she basically helped me set up all my core team tonight in terms of like what variety would we want, what would I want in terms of trying to be able to cover all bases, or as many bases as possible with as little trouble as possible. So if one Pokemon is weak against a certain type, someone else on my core 6 will be able to work their way in. But and I definitely like the open world in terms of the wild areas and the raids and things are certain. Those are probably the most fun, particularly if you're teaming with somebody who's a much higher rank and just one shot something that will take you like 2 or 3 hits to deal with. So which is pretty darn cool. Now the real question is, between everybody knows my routine is that I dedicate nights of the week to certain things. Thursdays are Star Trek Online, Saturdays Twix Scene, Sunday night Overwatch. Monday and Tuesdays are my big adventure, my big core game that I'm definitely working on. And Wednesdays, more or less, have been dedicated to teaming up with Iceman on like Division 2 and what you may call them, Gears of War, which we finished this week. So I'm guessing that will leave Friday night as the Switch night, unless of course well, I do have Mario Odyssey, Breath of Zelda, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and not to mention you get the Nintendo Online Pass thing, and you get access to basically a lot of the old school games that were on the Nintendo NES and the SNES. Many of them I've never played at all. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe there'll be times when the Switch will get the Monday and Tuesday slots, and the Xbox is dedicated to just Friday nights. So we're gonna work all that out. So I think with that said, we'll wrap up this rant here, and we'll figure out what the heck we'll talk about next week. It's bound to be something. So till next time, my friends, and you are my friends, tighten your friendship bracelets, watch you hang down, and we'll see you later. Bye.